What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the Halloween Cup as I finally hit expert rank and climbed into the 2800s with a pretty unique team. Now it's no secret at this point, I really like using dragon type Pokemon, and I'll try to use them in pretty much any meta where there's enough dragons available, regardless of whether they actually look viable on paper. In the Sunshine Cup I was able to go on a 17 game win streak with a triple dragon team, and despite Fairy being one of the eligible typings for this meta, I was also able to go on a great run with this triple dragon team. Now the craziest part is, of all my losses, I think only a couple of them were actually completely unwinnable, so on a different day, if I played slightly better, didn't make such silly mistakes, I could have climbed even more. Anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your favourite typing to use in the Go Battle League, and of that typing, what is your favourite Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. As we go into the first battle, leading Nagana-Believe into an opposing Guzzlord. So honestly, when I was building this team, Guzzlord was my biggest worry because, of course, we got two Pokemon that are Dragon types, but they don't have Dragon type fast move pressure, and unfortunately, we can't swap out of this matchup because Dragapult gonna do even worse there. So unfortunately, just fully sacrificing the Nagana-Believe if they have a Fairy type Pokemon in the back is pretty much game over already. And as well, I didn't want to risk losing CMP here and throwing, so instead, I'm gonna let the Dragon Claw go through, commit to the farm down, and they have a Azumarill in the bag, so it's not looking great. But then the opponent swaps out into a Toxapex, and that is huge for me because Dragapult resists everything Toxapex can throw. As well, we're going for the Breaking Swipe first, and we get the debuff, and not only that, they don't even farm to the Sludge Wave, so this is just gonna be a Brine. Brine is resisted, it's debuffed, it doesn't do much damage. Now we're gonna go a full send the Shadow Ball here. I'm expecting the opponent will just fully sacrifice the Toxapex. They do exactly that, but we still have a chance here. If we can get a bait with the Breaking Swipe, then we might be able to win this game. It's going to be so close though. They go for the Ice Beam. We're going to go and fire off the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to be shielded by the Azumarill. We also get the debuff, allowing me to make it to the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will connect. It will deal huge damage, and the opponent is going to throw their energy. At this point, this is game over. Guzzlord does have a charge move loaded. I realize they can't store back-to-back Ice Beam, so I go for the extra Dragon Tail, fire off the Brutal Swing, and from this range, it takes out Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle, another pretty awful lead matchup for us. Gonna say swap into my Dragapult this time around, and the opponent will respond with a Guzzlord. But luckily for me, we do have at least an energy advantage. We go for Breaking Swipe, and we get the debuff to their attack, which does give them more energy as they go and farm us down. But also, it does mean that we can come back in with the Nagana-Believe. I'm gonna save my Guzzlord for that Drift Blim. Gonna shield once, they won't actually reach a second Dragon Claw, which is very nice. Turns out they're not running it anyways as they go for the Brutal Swing, but either way, fine with me. They're now gonna come in with a Mud Slap Grimer, and this is looking horrible for us. We're down a shield. Mud Slap gonna do massive damage in this matchup, so we swap into our Guzzlord, and at this point, I think I might end up shielding this. Let's see. I'm going to shield. The opponent does full send the Sludge Bomb. They're going to swap back into Drift Blim, and we can actually live an Icy Wind here, but obviously it's going to debuff my attack, and somehow that wasn't a CMP tie, so we basically just lost a fast move, which is definitely not ideal. We're going to go and fire off the Brutal Swing, and we are going to fire off another Brutal Swing. Now, I believe I'm 2 away from a charge move on my Nagana-Believe. We need to live a Mud Slap, though. Can we live the Mud Slap damage? Yes, we are just barely able to do so, living with 1 HP and a dream, making it to the Dragon Claw, taking out the Shadow Grimer, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into next battle, another awful lead. So gonna say swap into Dragapult, and the opponent will be swapping into Azumarill, and this is perfect for me, of course. This is kind of the aim for this team, swapping into Dragapult, hoping to bait out Azumarill because obviously my Guzzlord, not running Sludge Bomb, gonna be completely walled by Azumarill. Now we've got a shield advantage, this is huge. We can let the Ice Beam take us out, we can come in with Nagana-Believe, and I should be able to shield once, and then just fully farm down the Azumarill from this range, which is what I really like about this Pokemon. So definitely gonna use my shield here. Ice Beam probably would take us out. They actually go for Play Rough there, which is fine with me. It actually wastes more energy. Doesn't matter. They still would have made it to a charge move, but now I'm at back-to-back Dragon Claws, and if the opponent doesn't know, Nagana-Believe does very comfortably win CMP up against the Shadow Golurk. So we go for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw gets the KO. They're going to come in with a Toxapex, and at this point, I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Dragon Claws. I will bank the second one. I'm not going to throw it straight away. Instead, I'm going to fire off the first one, swap into my Guzzlord, and this should be game over. Even if they full send a Sludge Wave and we no-shield it, I can live it fairly comfortably. They go for the Brine bait, and the opponent recognizing it's game over there, so they just concede the match. So GG's top opponent there into the next battle. You can see Toxapex in the lead this time around. So once again, we will resist everything they can possibly throw, but also I'm not dealing that much damage, so I'm basically going to wait till they throw a charge move. Once again, they don't farm up to the sludge wave, so going to no-shield the Brine, then swap, basically banking all of that energy, and they come in with a Sableye. So of course, not great for me, but we can hit full neutral damage with Astonish, with Breaking Swipe, again getting the debuff. So I got pretty lucky with Breaking Swipe debuffs in a lot of these battles here. They go for Foul Play. I mean, it doesn't make a difference in this situation, just because Foul Play obviously going to get a KO anyways, and we can come in with our Guzzlord, and they will just barely not reach a charge move, which is very nice. It would have just been a foul play, so I could have tanked it fairly comfortably, but it's nice not to take that chip damage. We're now going to go for a Brutal Swing, and the opponent swaps into their own Guzzlord, and I make a huge mistake here. Why am I still farming? I completely forgot that on my Naganadel, we swapped out with so much loaded energy. I finally remember, I'm like, oh my god, I had 2 Dragon Claws already loaded. They're obviously going to shield this, so we go for the boost there. We can now fire off another Dragon Claw. They've got no shields. Dragon Claw will get the KO, and if we just swapped out slightly sooner on my Guzzlord, I would be able to reach a charge move there, because I think I'm 1 Dragon Tail away from the Brutal Swing, but we just left ourselves way too low there, so they can just Poison Jab, farm me down. I lose with 2 shields remaining. Such a stupid game there from me, but GG's to that opponent, of course. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Galarian Moltres in the lead. I'm going to overfarm here, farming up to a potential Sludge Bomb, then going to go for a Fell Stinger, as I'm expecting to grab a shield, and we do grab that shield, which is very nice. I'm now going to shield as well. They go for an Ancient Power. Ancient Power gets the boost, which is very unfortunate, but it might mean that they no-shield this next charge move, and they do, and as a result, we're able to get a simultaneous KO, which honestly, not that bad for us. We're going to wait till that switch got come in with the Dragapult, and again, another Pokemon that we completely wall, unless they're running Blizzard, which I think is unlikely, but it could be the case. If they do farm up to the potential Blizzard, then I would, of course, reflect the damage, but they're just going to go straight for either a Scald or an Acid Spray, going to no-shield that, and the opponent's going to swap into a Clodsire, so that's fine with me. I'm now going to go and fire off the Shadow Ball here, not expecting to grab a shield, and so I'm able to deal big damage. We then swap into our Guzzlord, and this should be game over. I'm going to no-shield the first move as the opponent goes for the Earthquake there. Earthquake does do quite a lot of damage there. Maybe I should have shielded, but either way, doesn't really matter. We can go for a Brutal Swing, grab the final shield, and I think my Dragapult is still healthy enough there where if they swap out into the Tentacle, I can just go for a full farm down, so I no-shield that. We're going to come back in with the Dragapult, and the opponent does swap back into Tentacle, and it was actually a lot closer than I was expecting, but we're able to shield up the Acid Spray. We come out with the Breaking Swipe loaded, and of course, from this range, Breaking Swipe will be getting the KO up against the 1 HP Clodsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into the next battle. Going to see Naganadel into a Guzzlord once again. So once again, definitely not ideal for us. Again, just going to stay in this matchup here. I'm going to go and fire off the Dragon Claw. I think every single time they do shield, because why would you let that go through? Of course, they can recognize that if they're dealing a lot of damage with those Dragon Tails, they're going to take a lot of damage from a Dragon Claw. But this time they go for a Brutal Swing, implying they are not running Dragon Claw. So I can much more comfortably tank this move this time around. So they go for the Brutal Swing there, and they're going to swap into a Toxapex. Now, not really ideal for me, but we do have that Dragapult there, which again will resist everything they can possibly throw. So I'm going to bank a charge move there, come in with the Dragapult, and at this point I probably should have thrown a Breaking Swipe here, as I realise I'm going to try and overfarm as much as possible. They go for the Brine there, and then unfortunately we stutter, which means we don't get off the Breaking Swipe this time around. I wanted to try and fish for a debuff before they threw the next charge move, but either way, it's still okay. I'm actually going to go for an undercharge here, meaning I can farm them more, but the opponent does swap back into their Guzzlord. I actually think I avoid taking damage there by throwing straight away, and I think I did, so actually not that bad for me, but they come in with a Shadow Drapion. This is looking very tricky. I'm going for Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe gets the debuff once again. We can now go and fire off a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw unfortunately not doing that much damage. They do overfarm, but not by that much, so we are going to of course have no shields remaining. Crunch doesn't take us out though, and they're able to farm me down, but we're able to make it to the charge move on CMP. I think if they went for Aqua Tail there, they could have won, but they go for the Crunch. They don't get there. Well, actually they get there on CMP, which they lose, and then I'm able to Astonish, farm down the Toxapex to take that game. So GG's top opponent there into the next battle. You can see Wigglytuff in the lead. So of course, not ideal for me. I did check in the simulations. Apparently we win the one shield scenario, but it must be with a much better IV Naganadel, because you can see we actually don't even reach a second charge move. And even though we've got Wigglytuff incredibly low, like what the heck am I supposed to do here? We've only got double resisted fast move damage. to deal here, and they're going to go for an Icy Wind and debuff my attack. So definitely not ideal. We're going to swap into Guzzlord, go for the Dragon Tail Snipe here, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. Hopefully, no more fairies, and they actually come in with a Shadow Golurk. So I'm going to go straight for the Brutal Swing. They're probably going to shield this because the Mud Slap damage is adding up here, and they're going to do exactly that. But either way, going to shield this as the opponent going to go and fire off a Shadow Punch bait. That's okay. They're now going to swap into a Clodsire. So this is going to be very tricky for us. We are going to go for the Brutal Swing. Honestly, I should have swapped after banking the next Brutal Swing, but instead, we're going to go and fire it off here. Brutal Swing is going to be no shield, of course. No shields in play. We can now fire off a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to debuff their attack here, and you're going to see just how close this game was. The opponent goes for Stone Edge. Stone Edge gets the KO. We come in with the Guzzlord, and we just barely don't get that farm down. If we got the farm down there, of course, we leave with a Brutal Swing loaded to throw into the Golurk, but unfortunately, we just barely miss out. But GG's to opponent there into the next battle. Honestly, that was too quick for me to even realize what was in the lead, but they swap into Shadow Golurk. Of course, we can come in with Dragapult, shield once, get the farm down. It was probably a Azumarill, I don't know, but either way, they're going to come in with another Mud Slap user, this time going to be a Crocodile. And by the way, I did showcase Crocodile yesterday. I found it to be a really fun Pokemon to use in this meta, a very strong core breaker. And honestly, it would do pretty well up against my team if it had a slight energy advantage. But unfortunately, in this situation, I can just safely shield this up. It might be running Earthquake here, and the opponent does full send the Earthquake, and that is going to be game over. They come in with the Toxapex, and we're just going to go straight for a Brutal Swing here. Brutal Swing, honestly, they don't do much damage, but the Dragon Tails do start to add up over time. And remember, Naganadel, like the Dragapult, will resist everything they can possibly throw. So I actually swap into my Naganadel here, waiting for the opponent to eventually throw a Sludge Wave, which we should be able to tank. Not that comfortably in all honesty, but we should be able to tank it. And we're going to go for a Fell Sting, as I'm pretty much guaranteed to grab a shield there. It's a little bit risky. Honestly, didn't need to do that, as 2 Dragon Claws, 1 shielded and 1 not. Should still be enough damage, even without a boost. But we're able to take out the Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up over there into next battle, another Guzzlord in the lead. So once again, just going to have to stay in here, fully sacrifice this thing, and we will go for the Dragon Claw straight away. I could throw on 6 and potentially try and win CMP, but it's very unlikely that they're going to throw a charge move at that point. So at this point, we're going to shield this, and the opponent is going to go for a Sludge Bomb there. So that is kind of good news for us. And we're going to go for a Brutal Swing there. It means that they're not going to be running Dragon Claw as the secondary charge move, although up against my Dragapult, doesn't really make a difference here. Both Brutal Swing and Dragon Claw should be enough damage to very easily take us out here once we get to like half health range. So at this point, I'm going to no shield once again. I realize I will resist everything. Unfortunately though, these lunges are debuffing my attack, and they are getting me pretty low as well. So we're going to go and fire off the Breaking Swipe, and the opponent will be swapping into Clodsire. Now, unfortunately, I'm already double debuffed. This Shadow Ball not going to do that much damage, but I make another huge mistake in this battle. I thought Ariados left with a charge move loaded, so we're going to no shield. They full send the Earthquake there. I no shield because I'm thinking, well, they're just going to go for a lunge anyways, but I have to shield now because they make it to another charge move. And at this point, big mistake once again. Why am I over farming so much? I'm not making it to 3 charge moves, as that's literally impossible. If I had just like a slither of HP here, I could have just farmed down the Ariados and then come out with a Dragon Claw loaded, but you can see a Dragon Claw probably wouldn't quite take out the Guzzlord anyway, so in the end, I don't think it really matters too much, but I could have definitely played better there. But GG's to opponent there into the next battle. The opponent's going to Stay Swap into a Frostlass after leading with a Morpeko. We're going to go straight for the Dragon Claw, get the chip damage, now swap into my Dragapult, as of course, I can just shield once and then go for a full Astonish farm down. The opponent goes for the Avalanche there. We're going to shield that up there, go for the farm down, and I will be able to make it to potentially back-to-back Breaking Swipes here if the opponent doesn't throw a charge move straight away. So we're going to go for the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe does big damage. We don't get the debuff to their attack this time, but it doesn't really matter. We can go and fire off a second Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to grab the shield this time around. No debuff once again, but it doesn't really matter. I'm hoping the opponent tries to go for an extra fast move here, as we can come in with our Guzzlord and get the snipe with the Dragon Tail damage. They've got Azumarill in the back, and usually up against Dragon-type Pokemon, this would be very tricky, but of course we got that Poison Jab damage. I'm just going to safely shield up the charge move, go straight for a Fell Stinger here. We did farm up to a potential Sludge Bomb once again. Fell Stinger is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. We can go for another Fell Stinger, of course. We're boosted, but this is not going to do much damage. It doesn't really matter about the charge move damage. It's the Poison Jabs, which are absolutely chunking that Azumarill, so the opponent just concedes the match. So GG to opponent there into next battle, gonna see a Shadow Grimer. So of course they're gonna be running Mud Slap. We go for one Poison Jab, then swap out, just because if the opponent then tries to throw a charge move, they would throw on alignment there, which means we get a full Astonish in. So that's why I do that. If we swap out straight away, then we're still only gonna get 4 Astonishes through. So I might as well stay in, tank that one Mud Slap's worth of damage, and then still get the same number of fast moves in on my Dragapult. But either way, I'm going to be in a little bit of a tricky situation here, as I thought I could outpace them, but I don't know why I just completely forgot about the pacing here. 2 crunch with that quick attack, but I'm going to shield anyways, and now I'm going to farm up to back-to-back breaking swipes, so that way, maybe if the opponent wants to fight for switch advantage, they're going to have to double shield their Raticate as well. So we're going to go for the next breaking swipe. Breaking swipe is going to be shielded by the opponent, and they also don't overfarm by that much either, so that's fine with me. I'm hoping we put them into Poison Jab farm down range. It will be very close. But let's see if we can come in with the Nagana-Believe, and we do get the Poison Jab farm down, and as well, because we did go for one Poison Jab in the lead there, we make it to the Dragon Claw. The opponent goes for the extra, but they swap into Greninja, and that is absolutely huge for me. Of course, Guzzlord gonna completely wall Greninja, unless they're running Aerial Ace, which is incredibly unlikely. I think this is also the only Greninja I saw today, which is quite interesting, because I saw quite a lot of them the previous day. But either way, we're looking fine here. Guzzlord should be able to tank anything, and even if we don't, one Poison Jab would get the KO there, but we take that move anyways, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to up there into next battle, Shadow Golurk in the lead. So of course, I'm going to go for that one Poison Jab, then swapping into my Dragapult, and the opponent is going to swap out into a Azumarill. It looks like maybe they were trying to catch a breaking swipe there, but either way, we can now just go fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to be shielded, and like in one of the first games, we're just going to no-shield this. I can come back in with my Nagana-Believe and go for a full Poison Jab farm down. So that's exactly what we're going for here. The opponent will, of course, make it to a charge move. There's no point me throwing here because both my charge moves not going to do much damage whatsoever, but the opponent did bank a charge move on the Golurk, and they go for the snipe there, which is very unfortunate for me. They're going to go for the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch is going to, of course, grab my shield. I go for the extra Poison Jab there, just in case the opponent does want to shield that, but maybe should have just gone for the Dragon Claw straight away, as of course I would have avoided the damage from one of those Mud Slaps there. But either way, they come in with a Toxapex. We still have some play here, but it's going to be very close. They've still got a shield. Honestly, I can't really see where I'm going to grab that shield from the opponent, so either way, they're going to go and fire off the charge move. They go for the Sludge Wave there. We are going to overfarm in this matchup, try to throw on good timing, but a very nice catch from the opponent there, catching the Brutal Swing onto Azumarill. It gets them low, but they do just barely make it to the charge move, and that is so unfortunate. If we had the Brutal Swing there, I think we might actually be able to win this game. I realize my win condition is if they shield the first charge move, we boost our attack, and we land a Dragon Claw, but the opponent, really good knowledge there, knowing they can live a Dragon Claw, so they can no-shield the first charge move, and now they can make it to a charge move, and I've mentioned it several times, we resist everything, but of course from this range, Brian will be taking out the Nagana-Believe, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, very well played. Into next battle, going to see a Shadow Alone and Raticate in the lead, so this is okay for us. I might be able to win the one shield scenario here if we can land a bait, and if not, then I'm probably just going to go straight Fell Stinger here, because 2 Fell Stingers will be enough to get the KO here. So going to go for the first one. Fell Stinger is unfortunately no shielded by the opponent, but that's okay. Just going to go for a second Fell Stinger straight away. Fell Stinger is going to get the KO there, and they come in with a Shadow Golurk. So again, going to swap into Dragapult, and the opponent, thinking they'd win CMP, throws at the last second here, but we're able to win CMP, grab a shield, debuff their attack, everything going my way so far. The opponent goes for a Shadow Punch, which with the debuff still KOs very comfortably, but now we can come in with our Guzzlord. It just depends what they've got in the back. We get the Dragon Tail farm down, and they've got a Shadow Fortress, which is a very interesting pick. Luckily for me, this time it's going to be running Volt Switch. In my previous video, I did come up against a Bug Bite Fortress, which was a huge problem for my Triple Dark team, but at this point, I'm going to shield this, and the opponent does go for a Rock Tomb. Honestly, Fortress has so many different charge moves. They could be running Earthquake, they might be running Mirror Shot, they might be running like Iron Head or something else, I don't know. But either way, I tried to swap there. Unfortunately, we do lag. That's frustrating, but it's just a Rock Tomb. It doesn't KO, and the opponent realizing, even with a double debuff to our attack, I could have swapped out there, or I could have just thrown a Brutal Swing double debuffed. It probably still would have got the KO there. So GG's to the opponent into next battle. Gonna see some very cool spice as the opponent's got a shiny Nidorina. So I'm going for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is gonna be no shielded. I know this thing learns Dig, I think it also learns Thunderbolt, Poison Fang, of course. So I'm going to shield it up. It is the dig, which is very nice. I can just go for a Dragon Claw straight away. So I'm going to do exactly that. Dragon Claw grabs the shield. I'm now going to swap into my Dragapult there because, of course, we can tank a dig a lot more comfortably when it's not super effective. The opponent comes in with a Frost Slash. I'm not going to make it to a Shadow Ball, so just going straight for the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to be no shielded, but it debuffs their attack, and as a result, we get a simultaneous KO. That's absolutely huge for me. We can now come in with the Guzzlord here as the opponent's going to come back in with the Nidorina. Doesn't really matter what they throw here. It's not going to do that much damage. The opponent once again goes for the dig, and they've got a Shadow Golurk in the back. So we can just farm out 2 back-to-back Brutal Swings. Unfortunately for them, they're not going to be able to fast move farm me down before we get there. So the opponent just no shields the first one. I'm able to take them out with the Brutal Swing, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to opponent there. Into next battle, you can see Azumarill in the lead. So the opponent is staying in initially, then swapping into a Shadow Drapion. So I'm going to go for a Dragon Claw straight away. Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded. We're then going to swap into our Guzzlord. It's pretty unlikely that they're running Sludge Bomb, so we can typically wall the moveset of the Drapion. They go for a Crunch. They actually do drop my defense there, but honestly, that's probably slightly preferred just because now they're going to get less farm on the Azumarill. Although, honestly, the Bubbles still not going to do much damage there, so they will still get a decent amount of farm here. Now, I've not revealed a Charge Move, so I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Brutal Swings before throwing a Charge Move, hoping to grab a shield. Unfortunately, we don't grab the shield there. Again, going for the extra Dragon Tail, hoping this time we'll get a shield, but the opponent can just no-shield twice, and unfortunately, not ideal for us. Now, at this point, we were dropping a ton of frames, so I tried to, like, speed up on my phone. I don't really know if that does anything, but it is an option there, so I've tried to do that there. But either way, they're going to come in, grab my shield, then go into a Clodsire. So honestly, it's looking a little bit tricky for us. A chip with the Dragon Claw. Honestly, Dragon Claw not doing much damage. I need to get the debuff with a Breaking Swipe here. If I don't get the debuff, I think we just lose. And Breaking Swipe doesn't get the debuff, so I'm going to no-shield this. Honestly, I thought an Earthquake would fully one-shot us, but no, either they undercharged that and they did it perfectly, or Earthquake just doesn't quite do enough damage there, and they're going to get a huge farm down, and at this point, it's going to be pretty much game over. My only win condition is if the opponent randomly goes for a Sludge Bomb bait, so I'm playing to that win condition. It's the Earthquake, though. Earthquake takes us out, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. Of course, the Azumarill still had a decent amount of energy, so if I shielded the Earthquake, they come in and then go for an Ice Beam. But either way, into next battle, a little bit of stutters there. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but the opponent safe swaps into Shadow Golurk. We come in, we get the Astonished farm down. Actually, it probably did make a difference there, as we are now a lot lower than we probably wanted to be after taking 1 extra Mud Slap. But either way, I'm going to go and farm up to nearly 100 energy, fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to connect. It does big damage here, and I could go for the Breaking Swipe, but I'm committing to a second Shadow Ball. They might fully sacrifice the Azumarill at this point, but no, they actually do shield that. We're going to come in with Nagana-Believe, of course, gonna have to shield this as the opponent goes and fires off the Ice Beam, and they've got a Mandibuzz in the back, but they're actually running Air Slash, so typically Guzzlord going to be very good into Mandibuzz, but up against a neutral fast move, it's going to be slightly closer, and of course they do at least have a shield advantage here, so I'm going to throw on the Simpy type with the next Charge Move. Of course, Aerial Ace still not doing that much damage, but they might put us into range where they can farm us down. I've also got to be very wary of the switch clock coming back up, and if Azumarill does swap out and I'm not able to swap out immediately there, then they might actually make it to a charge move. So instead, I'm actually going to force the opponent to swap back into Azumarill, and that works out perfectly for me as they were 2 bubbles away from an Ice Beam, but I'm able to get the full Poison Jab farm down, go for a Fell Stinger there, pretty unnecessary bait, but now we've boosted up our attack. Dragon Claw takes out the Mandibuzz, and I'm able to take that game. But GG's top in their into next battle, going to see a Shadow Drapion in the lead. So this is a fairly neutral matchup here. If the opponent baits me with an Arctel, then that could be problematic. But I'm going to shield the first move. They go straight for Crunch. That's fine with me. They also don't debuff my attack. I'm hoping to grab a shield here after farming up a ton of energy. But unfortunately, we don't get that shield. This time, I'm just going straight for the Dragon Claw here. There's no point baiting again. Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded. It does get the KO there. And they come in with the Shadow Golurk. So once again, swapping into Dragapult there. And they come in with a Galarian Moltres. Now, this is definitely tricky for us. We go for the Breaking Swipe. No debuff this time around. And as a result, they do get the farm down. But if we're able to fully farm them down before they make it to charge moves up against both my Naganadel and my Guzzlord, I should be okay here. But that is a very, very big if here. So we're going to go into with the Guzzlord. We are trying for that farm down, and we are just barely not able to get there. This should be a Brave Bird. I'm going to shield. It is the Brave Bird, but of course, Guzzlord could be running Dynamic Punch. It's probably quite likely here. Dynamic Punch is going to get the KO, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG set up in there into next battle, Shadow Golurk in the lead this time around. So once again, go for one Poison Jab, then swapping into my Dragapult. And this is exactly why I go for that Poison Jab. We still get the Astonish through anyways, so might as well go for that Poison Jab before swapping out. They do grab a shield advantage, but that's okay. We can just go straight for a Shadow Ball here, and if it does connect, then it will do huge damage up against the Azumarill, and again, committing to the Shadow Ball there. If we go for a Breaking Swipe, then it doesn't really help me that much, because at least now we can go for a Poison Jab farm down and come out with a Dragon Claw loaded to throw into potentially the Golurk coming back in, or I could just swap out straight away. But they come in with a second Mud Slap user, which definitely is not ideal. We go for the Dragon Claw, but because I waited for a split second there, they actually got off 2 Mud Slaps, and as well, we then stutter, missing another fast move. It's all going wrong for me right now, but is there any hope for us? I'm gonna no shield, of course we got no shields. I'm committing to a full fast move beat down here, and we are actually able to get the farm down. We get the farm down up against the Golurk, and we live the Mud Slap damage and get a double resisted Poison Jab farm down up against the Golurk to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. After missing a few fast moves and giving in a few fast moves in for free, I still get the full fast move beat down, which is crazy. But GG's to the opponent there. Into next battle, gonna see a Azumarill in the lead. Now, of course, unfortunately, they can just go for a charge move here and then swap out, which isn't really ideal, which is why the one shield scenario, whilst on paper we do win it, it doesn't really play out like that. But they're gonna swap into Drapion once again, gonna go for the Dragon Claw here, then swapping into my Guzzlord, assuming they're not running Sludge Bomb. And even if they are, that's totally fine with me. At this point, the opponent's going to go for the Crunch. Crunch is not going to get the debuff here, but they are Shadow, so the next Crunch is still going to do a decent amount of damage. And at this point, I don't want to reveal that I'm running Dragon Claw. Ideally, I go for a Brutal Swing, it doesn't quite take them out, and we get the Dragon Tail farm down, and that's exactly what happens. Excuse me there, they then come back in with the Azumarill, so now I'm going to farm up to a potential Sludge Bomb. I'm hoping I can grab a shield here with the Guzzlord, but the opponent doesn't shield there. I will make it to another Brutal Swing though, and the opponent catches it onto a Shadow Golurk, so a very interesting decision there, of course, trying to preserve the health on their Azumarill, but it doesn't matter. We can win CMP once again up against the Shadow Golurk. Breaking Swipe will get the KO, and that's going to be game over. The opponent recognized it, so they just concede the match. GG, so opponent there, into the next battle, going to see a Shadow Ninetales in the lead, so not ideal for us here. Honestly, actually no, never mind. I was going to say I prefer if they were running Charm, but they'd probably just be able to shield once and then fully farm me down, so definitely don't prefer if they're running Charm. Either way, we go for the charge view straight away, and then they swap into a Fortress, so this time we swap into our Dragapult here. Honestly, this makes sense because, of course, we are resisting the fast move damage and we're dealing neutral damage. They full send the Earthquake this time around, and here I make a huge mistake. Well, not straight away anyways. I'm going for Breaking Swipe. I'm thinking maybe we can farm them down here, but if we're not able to do so, I'll go for 3 Astonishes, then throw the charge move. But actually, they're already at another Earthquake, so unfortunately, they take us out there. They flip switch advantage and grab a shield advantage. And I lost so much energy, like what am I doing? They're now going to come in with a Morpeko. We're going straight for the Fell Stinger here. Fell Stinger is going to grab a shield. Now we can at least wall the energy, and they swapped out of that matchup, so they're going to be forced to stay in this matchup here. But Aura will, after they boost their attack, is going to KO us here, and at this point I'm thinking, well actually I probably prefer this because now we can come in with the Nagana-Believe here, go for the Poison Jab, farm down, possibly be able to outpace the Ninetales to a charge move, but then I realized, of course, both my charge moves are going to deal like no damage whatsoever. So whilst Poison Jab's dealing huge damage there, unfortunately Dragon Claw just doesn't do much damage at all, and as a result, they get the Powder Snow farm down, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. Into the next battle, I'm going to see a Charger Bug in the lead, so this is great for me. I'm of course going to resist everything they can throw here, unless they're running Crunch, which is quite unlikely. But either way, going to go and fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded, and then going to go for a Fell Stinger on the CMP tie. I'm thinking, surely Fell Stinger will KO from this range, and it does exactly that. But they come in with a Drifblim. A little bit tricky for me, of course. We're going to come in with the Guzzlord here, and I can tank one Icy Wind, but I'm going to shield the first one here. So the opponent goes for the Icy Wind, and they're going to swap into a Azumarill and now down a shield. This is not looking too good for us. Once again, I'm going to need to bait with a Breaking Swipe and land a Shadow Ball, which just seems very unlikely when they've got 2 shields in play. But either way, we're going for the Breaking Swipe here. Please, please shield this. The opponent does shield up the Breaking Swipe. We are going to debuff their attack once again, and we're able to make it to the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to be no shielded, and that's absolutely huge for me. The opponent goes for a play rough there, so that is definitely not ideal because of course play rough is enough damage to very easily one-shot a Guzzlord. But we're going to go for the Brutal Swing here. Brutal Swing is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and then you can see the opponent actually stutters, and that is massive for me, as that's going to allow me to reach back-to-back Brutal Swings here, I'm pretty sure. I think that was a CMP tie there, either that or they just stopped attacking as they realized it was game over, but Brutal Swing takes out the Azumarill, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Turbo in there into next battle. You can see Wigglytuff in the lead, so not ideal for us. They're actually going to say swap into a Clodsire, so I should be swapping out here. We start to loads there. Honestly, I don't have a clue how much energy they've got. I'm just going to shield the first charge move. They go for the Earthquake here. I think I'm just going to go straight for a Breaking Swipe. I realized, obviously we saw already, Earthquake doesn't quite one-shot us. I was hoping that maybe we can get a debuff here with a Breaking Swipe, and that way I should be able to live the Earthquake fairly comfortably and go for a full farm down, and we get the debuff on the second attempt there. So Earthquake will not be enough damage to get the KO here, which is very nice. We can get the Astonish farm down. They come back in with the Wigglytuff. They're going to swap out straight away into Shadow Golurk, and we're going to come in with our Guzzlord, and we're able to swap out quick enough where we can actually outpace them to a Brutal Swing before they make it to the potential Dynamic Punch. And this is why I'm thinking my win condition is just shielding this. They go for a Shadow Punch here, which means they will actually make it to another charge move, but it's just going to be another Shadow Punch, which is persistent damage. I'm not going to bother throwing. I don't want to give the Wigglytuff any energy advantage. Instead, now we can come in with the Nagana-Believe, go straight for a Fell Stinger. Fell Stinger is going to boost up my attack here, and can we go for a full Poison Jab farm down? No, unfortunately not, as the opponent is running Swift. I honestly completely forgot about Swift because most Wigglytuff users just go straight Icy Wind to debuff the attack, but of course Swift is the cheapest energy move, and it does allow them to outpace me before we get the farm down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG Turbo there into next battle, going to see a Drifblim Say Swap. We've seen already we can live the Icy Wind here, but what I didn't realize is with Astonish, the opponent can win the 2-shield scenario by landing that Icy Wind, and then just double shielding and then fully farming me down, which is definitely not ideal for me. Going to shield the next Icy Wind here. I'm thinking, look at my HP there. Can we reach a second Brutal Swing after this one? And the answer is going to be no, we can't. And unfortunately, because they get that farm down, huge farm down as well, they're going to come out with an Icy Wind already loaded. They do actually go for the extra fast move there. I was hoping Astonish would get the KO, but unfortunately it does not. They go for an Icy Wind, debuff my attack. I realize, of course, both my Pokemon are going to be pretty good up against that Charge Bug in the lead, but they've got Mandibuzz in the back, which is very good up against my Dragapult. So we swap into Nagana-Believe. We do CMP tie them. We needed that damage from the Dragon Claw. They go for a Dark Pulse, dealing huge damage there. We can at least make it to a Dragon Claw up against the Charger Bug coming back in, but it's just not going to be enough here, as of course I still need to come out of this matchup with so much loaded energy. I need to make it to back-to-back Breaking Swipes up against the Mandibuzz, and you're going to see a second X-Scissor after the Volt Switch will be enough damage to get the KO, so I'm forced to go for just one extra Astonish, go for the charge move there, but I will of course be outpaced. I'm going to farm up to very close to back-to-back Breaking Swipes, but they should now have the energy to throw even a Dark Pulse here, and honestly a second Breaking Swipe probably wouldn't quite take them out anyways. Dark Pulse easily takes out the Dragapult, and unfortunately we do lose that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.